It was a great movie, and I encourage people to definitely go see it. But it had some major flaws. And since it seems like nobody on the internet actually knows how to properly criticize, let's start with the positives first before we dive into the negatives. Obviously, the positives were it was the most visually compelling Dragon Ball movie we've ever seen. In fact, one of the most visually compelling animations that has ever come out, ever. The art direction, the music composing, the sound effects, the actual physical effects, everything was top-notch, completely beautiful. But there was some major problems with the writing. Now, I'm not gonna go over spoilers in this video. I'm just gonna talk about overarching macro comments on some of the things that I was kind of really taken aback to in this movie. Now, I walked out of it definitely with a big smile on my face, but feeling a little bit disappointed. The first 30 minutes of the movie, which is mainly story, was nice, but it honestly felt unnecessary. And I really feel like they could have shortened it down to about 5 minutes or so to explain Broly's story rather than pretty much retell this entire backstory with Bardock and redo it. It was a nice attempt, I feel like, but it just honestly, Dragon Ball Minus really didn't need to be there. I think the explanation of how Broly survived did need to be there, but everything else really didn't. Now, the last hour of the movie is literally pure screaming. At some points, it felt like it was just too much screaming, like for an hour straight. And I felt like they really could have broken apart that whole hour and maybe given us like a 20-minute section of dialogue or something like that before it got back into more screaming. And it's really not broken up at all, which kind of sucks out a little bit of the energy and the build up to that fight. So they did a really good job building up to the actual fight. And when it kicks off, the part with Vegeta, man, I think that's the best part of the movie. Vegeta versus Broly, I thought was by far the best part of the movie. It was just insane, just absolutely insane. They did some new sound effects, like with the impacts that just, it hit so clean. Like, it's hard to explain, but the impacts felt and sounded so good. They just did such a crazy good job with that. Obviously, you know, the animation was incredible, but I had a problem with the animation in that it was too fast. Like, you have Yuya Takahashi, who is arguably, you know, the best Dragon Ball artist there is, and all of the frames are on ones, meaning that the camera work moves so fast that your brain doesn't have time to digest all of these beautiful pictures that he's drawing. Like, you can like see glimpses of them, but until we're able to go frame by frame in this movie and actually like see what was drawn, it's like your brain can't register it because it's 1/24th of a second. So in a lot of these movies, they tend to switch the framework from 2s and 3s, and they put a lot of this action on 1s, meaning that instead of going 12 frames a second or 8 frames a second, they'll put it on 24 frames a second, which gives this insane high-speed combat. But when you put the framework on 1s, the movement happens so fast, your brain can't really comprehend what you're seeing. You just see a lot of very fast movement. And I saw like little glimpses of just this beautiful artwork from Yuya Takahashi, but obviously it's not on the screen long enough to even actually digest it. And to me, I thought that was kind of a flaw of the movie because I felt like so much good artwork went to waste. The other issue with this movie is the power scaling. You have Broly, yes, he has more latent ability than Goku and Vegeta. He has more inherent potential. That's fine. The fact that he lived and survived on this rogue planet and he got super strong because of it, that's fine. But this dude is going up against gods in his base form. It's just not right. There is no reason, literally no reason, why a base form Super Saiyan, no matter how strong this man is, should be able to go up against gods. Now, the yellow eyes, I'm not going to go into detail as to what exactly they are. You'll learn about that in the movie. But regardless of that, you still shouldn't be able to go up against gods who have been training and developing their forms forever. And Dragon Ball Super loves to do this. They bring in these Universe 6 Saiyans who are able to go up against gods. It's kind of dumb. Now, obviously, we know Gogeta is not a spoiler, so I want to talk about Gogeta. He didn't need to be in this movie. Like, I don't know why they decided to go the route of Gogeta. It was nice to get Gogeta, but they could have beaten Broly, or they could have ended this movie in so many other ways. And I felt like Gogeta was forced, it was rushed. It's hard to talk about this even more without getting into spoilers, but I mean, personally, I love Gogeta. I still thought it was cool that he came in the movie. but I didn't feel like it was necessary at all to bring him in. That's pretty much what I'll say. Now I want to talk about Broly for a second. Now his character did change dramatically from the evil, murderous Broly that we know and love. And I'm okay with that. I'm actually okay with the change. But the problem that I had was they had so much story built up into this new Broly. And then like the last half of the movie, he's just a screaming Hulk. And all of that story kind of goes out the window and was seemingly like a little bit unnecessary until you really like get to the end of the movie. Now there's this part in the movie where the narrator comes on and he starts screaming, Kakarot! Go Broly, go Broly. And a lot of people have an issue with that. I didn't. I actually thought it was kind of cool. I didn't really have a problem with that. I think people are kind of like, I know a lot of fans are having issues with that part of the movie where the music comes on and the guy is like, the narrator or whoever he is starts screaming like Kamehameha. But I thought it was okay. They tried something different. I really wasn't offended by it. I thought it was refreshing. So all these people were getting upset about it. I guess I can kind of understand why. I think my overall criticism with this movie is that, obviously it's the best animated Dragon Ball movie we've ever had, most in-depth Dragon Ball movie we've ever had, the longest Dragon Ball movie we've ever had. But to say it's the best Dragon Ball movie we've ever had, I don't think so. In fact, if I was gonna watch it again, I'd probably just skip right to the part where Vegeta fights Broly and just watch that over and over again. It was like this very slow build up to this amazing action that it was just like, it was almost like too much action. Like, I don't think I've ever said that about a Dragon Ball film or an episode, but it got to the point where it's just like, I want something different to happen. And it needs like a change of pace. And I think that was one of the major flaws, is that there was just no change of pace for like the last hour of the movie. Now, there's definitely a lot of points in this movie where the entire theater just stood up cheering and jumping out of their seats. When Vegeta went Super Saiyan God, when Broly turned Super Saiyan for the first time. So there was a lot of like super impactful moments. You could feel it like in your chest, which I loved. So they did a really good job at kind of like those, emphasizing those peak points of the movie to get like really excited. So some of the stuff they did in this movie, they did great. But I feel like they could have written this movie so much differently. And I'm a little perplexed as to why they chose to do some of the things they did. Now, originally this movie was going to be like 3 hours long. That's what Toriyama's original script had, so much content in it that they actually had to cut tons and tons of chunks out. And maybe that had an impact on the overall film. Now, the film is doing exceptionally well in terms of sales. It is a monster of a movie, and it's going to be the most grossing Dragon Ball movie of all time. And I definitely encourage you to go see it. Just because I'm a little bit disappointed. I like to play devil's advocate here on this channel. I think sometimes people are afraid to be honest when they're criticizing Dragon Ball, because the fandom can get really defensive if you negatively criticize an episode or a movie, because we do love it so much. They also had some gags in the movie with like Frieza's wish and things like that, and it just felt like unnecessary and kind of stupid. It's like at certain points they were trying to be funny and they pulled it off, but other times they were trying to be funny and it was just like crickets. When Frieza admitted his wish, my brother and I, who saw the movie together, just kind of looked at each other like... Now, it's really hard to keep talking about this movie without getting into spoiler territory, so I will do another video with a spoiler review. But I'll just say this, I did like the very, very end, like how like the last like minute of the movie, I actually really liked what they did there with that, because it made the whole movie feel worth it in the end. And so that's what I want to say is, like, I think it was a really great movie, obviously incredibly visually compelling, definitely felt worth it in the end, but they really could have done this movie so many different ways. And it's just peculiar to me why they choose to write it this way. And I know I'm not the only one here, because I've heard this same criticism from my friends who I've talked to about the movie. But overall, we still really love the movie. It's just certain aspects of it were really disappointing and unnecessary. And I felt like they easily could have made this movie 1 hour. If they're gonna write it into this direction, I mean, they could have cut out like the first 20 minutes of the movie and shrunk the fighting down a good 10 minutes or so. I think they really could have fit it into 1 hour. So I'm really curious as to like what all of Toriyama's original transcript did they cut out? And did that affect the full version of the actual movie that was released? And I have a feeling it did. So yeah, guys, I mean, that's pretty much my non-spoiler review, is that there was a lot of parts that were jarring and the pacing was really off. but overall, still awesome movie to watch. Definitely something I'm gonna watch again. Not my favorite Dragon Ball movie ever released. I'll be talking to you guys soon for the spoiler review. Peace.